Hey everyone, it's me, Matt. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing great, and I hope you're ready to garden with me today because in today's video, we're going to be planting up some holiday-inspired containers, as well as decorating my front porch for Christmas. So let's get into it. So turning you around, here's my front porch and all the holiday decor items we'll be working with today. I also picked up 4 different plant varieties for my 2 seasonal containers that flank my front entryway. I'll also be reusing some of the plants from my fall arrangements, but we'll get into that in just a minute. Looking at my holiday decor items, some of this is new for this year and some is recycled from last year. One of the new items is this Christmas doormat that I picked up yesterday. And then I'm also going to incorporate this beautiful red poinsettia that my realtor gave me. I'm going to make sure to carve out a place for it near my front door. So jumping into replanting my 2 seasonal containers, you can see my mums are way past their prime. I had white and purple mums in these arrangements and they look spectacular during the fall season. You can see now the white ones still have some green foliage, but the purple ones are dried to a crisp. But with that said, you'll notice my burgundy and green coleus plants and deep purple sweet potato vines are still looking beautiful. My plan is to reuse these plants and add all the new white flowers into my new holiday containers. So believe it or not, this white impatient plant was my inspiration for buying all the white flowers for today's project. I just love the look of white flowers, especially during the holiday season. And I know this plant looks rough, but earlier this week, this container was looking stunning. The plant was spilling out of the container all the way down to the ground. The foliage was a deep green color and it was covered in white flowers. So, long story short, I've had this impatient plant for about 5 years now and I've always hand watered it. But right before I went out of town for Thanksgiving, I hooked it up to my drip irrigation system. At the time, I didn't realize that this container didn't have a drain hole, and it all came to a head yesterday when I noticed how wilted the plant looked. That's when I realized the container was completely filled with water and the plant was drowning. I quickly jumped into action and tipped the container over to get all the water out, and then I used my hammer and a nail to make several drain holes at the bottom. You'll notice I also pruned off all the really bad looking stems, so I'm hopeful that this plant will rebound. Moral of the story, learn from my mistake and always make sure your containers have drain holes when you hook them up to drip irrigation. So giving you an overview of all the new plants I picked up for today's project, I'll start with these white impatient plants. These plants are perennials here in Zone 10, Florida. Like I just said, the large one on my front porch is about 5 years old. They can grow about 15 to 20 inches tall and wide, and under the right conditions, even larger. They prefer shady areas with bright indirect light, and they bloom pretty much year-round here in Florida. The next plant variety I picked up are these white violas. These plants will grow about 6 to 10 inches tall and about 8 to 12 inches wide. They prefer full sun to part shade areas. They're hardy in USDA zones 3 through 8. They can withstand light frosts and they prefer cooler temperatures, making them a perfect annual during Florida's fall, winter, and early spring months. The third plant variety I picked up are these white begonias. These plants will grow 8 to 12 inches tall and about 6 to 8 inches wide. They've got a mounding growth habit. They like part sun areas and prefer bright and direct light. They're hardy in USDA zones 9 through 11, making them a perennial here in Zone 10, Florida, but they can definitely be grown as spring and summer annuals in lower zones. And then the last plant variety I picked up are these white pansy plants. They do best in full sun, but they can be grown in part shade areas that receive sunlight for a few hours each day. Similar to the violas, they prefer cooler temperatures and they can tolerate light frosts. They're hardy in USDA zone 6 through 10, and they're grown as fall, winter, and early spring annuals here in Zone 10, Florida, because they can't tolerate our extreme summer heat and humidity. Also, I did pick up this faux pine greenery with real pine cones, and I had these red ornaments from last year. I figured I could stick them in the container arrangements to really give them a holiday vibe. So let me go grab my shovel and my potting soil, and we'll swap the mums in my seasonal containers with all of these new flowers. There we go. These containers turned out so great. I love that I was able to reuse the coleus and sweet potato vines. The new white flowers provide a really nice contrast, and soon enough, they'll all mound up and really fill these containers in nicely. Also, you may have noticed that I had to stake the coleus plants so that they wouldn't flop over. I used some bamboo stakes and green garden tie tape to give them some added support. And then I wanted to call out the faux pine branches and red ornaments. I really like this look. These items definitely add a little something extra to these holiday arrangements. When it comes to watering, I finally hooked these containers up to my drip irrigation system. I tapped into my 1/4-inch poly pipe that's buried on either side of my front walkway, and then ran some spaghetti tubing with 2-gallon-per-hour emitters. I then secured the tubing into the center of each container with a landscape staple. I'll definitely keep an eye on these plants as they settle in. My drip system is set to run for 20 minutes every 2 days, so they should be good to go. And yes, I double checked. Both of these containers have drain holes at the bottom. All right, so now that my holiday-inspired containers are all set, we can move on to decorating the rest of my front porch for Christmas. So just a quick overview, I'm going to start by wrapping my front columns with this red velvet ribbon. I did the same thing last year and I loved how it turned out, so I thought I'd do it again this year. I've also got these red, gold, and silver ornaments, as well as this big red bow to hang on my front door. And then I've got my new Christmas doormat that I showed you earlier. And then we'll wrap up by unwrapping my beautiful red poinsettia plant. All done, everything looks so great. I love how it all turned out. I went ahead and adjusted the velvet ribbon on the left column off camera. I realized it wasn't laying right, but now it's wrapped to perfection. I'm really liking all the holiday colors. The reds, the whites, the golds, and the silvers all look so great together. My front porch is finally all decked out and ready for the holiday season. And then really quick, I wanted to give you another angle looking from my driveway back toward my front entryway. You can see just how festive it looks. It's so inviting and it adds so much curb appeal. And again, I'm really loving how this whole project came together. So I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me today while I decorated my front porch for Christmas. And I hope everyone has a very happy holiday season. If you haven't already done so, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons so you can hang out with me in future videos. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.